Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the My Love of Golf podcast. A little bit of a hybrid episode this week because Roscoe, your host, I'm on the road. I'm actually sitting here in Hobart and recording from this lovely room at the RACV Hobart, where I've been staying for a couple of nights, and it's absolutely lovely. But yeah, might not be any music and all of the fancy intro stuff that we usually do, but don't worry about that because my good man Scott Carter joins us all the way from downtown Melbourne. We've taken the podcast outside of Melbourne and made it interstate. Scott, welcome back. How are you?
Hello, Roscoe. I'm good, mate. You're looking good. Everyone loves a good RACV business centre, don't they? In the background, taking it on the road.
I've got to say thanks to the young man Joe who secreted me away in here. He could see me setting up. He said, "So let's get you out of this busy bar here and get you over in this room that I've got set up. I can set cups over there. Might help myself a coffee later." No, I won't
Well,
do that.
that's good, mate. You recognise you. Oh, you're Mr. Ross Flanagan. You're doing podcast.
Yeah, just doing the global mile of golf
Yeah.
podcast too. No, don't be silly. I'm just tucked away here because Mrs. Mile of Golf is up in the room, probably watching The Block or My Kitchen Rules or some other show, and it just she says, "Oh, do you want to do your podcast up here?" I said, "Darling," I said, "I just don't think you can handle the heat. I don't think you can handle the power coming out there, just the live audience. I don't think I could handle it personally." No, it's just better just to come down and sit down here. Hey, mate, how's the weekend golf been? Did you have a couple of games?
I had a couple of games, Roscoe. Yeah, not too bad. I played last Wednesday, and I'll tell you what. Actually, first of all, congrats on last week's episode and the two boys that joined. That was a lot of fun to listen to, PK and Pulte. So great to hear those two guys, stalwarts of the M-Log community, get on the airwaves. But I'm glad I didn't get on last week, Roscoe. I had maybe my worst round of golf in a many years last Wednesday. So I won't tell you how many points I didn't have. And it was just me and young Sid out there. And I've spoken about Sid a little bit before, young guys of +2. But yeah, I had an absolute shocker. But then I went out there yesterday on Monday, a little bit after that round, and Sid said something to me in the round about his game and the one thing that he was working on. And I kind of remembered that on the range yesterday, and I thought, oh yeah, my grip's a bit too firm too at the moment, and I've been hitting it terribly. So I loosened up the grip a little bit, relaxed the tension, and actually played pretty good for 12 holes. So another little tidbit from young Sid that's helping me improve my game every now and then is great. As I said, always take a lot out of playing with young Sid. So mate, thank you, Sid. Shout out, appreciate it, buddy.
Good man. If you've co-opted Sid not only as a golf partner but as a listener to My Love of Golf, that's fantastic. Thank you. Hey, Sid, yeah, he's doing really well. I remember when we played. Oh, must be over 12 months ago now. And you pointed Sid out, and he really hadn't popped up on the radar of anywhere. And he just looked like another one of the a dozen or so kids that you'll find at any golf course around Melbourne, grinding away, wanting to be an elite golfer. Or even he was already elite, but
Yep.
be elite as an amateur, elite as a potential professional, and that sort of thing. And you said he'd had been working on his game, working on his mental game, all that sort of thing. And just his development in the last 12 months or so. He started to play in the Jeff
Ida Witten
Ogilvy's.
and yeah.
Well, he played a lot of Ivos, and he played
Yeah,
those
the game, the
Players
game.
Series and the game, and he's doing really well. So it's a credit to young Sid. So keep an eye out for him, and I know he'd be getting a lot from playing in and around like the likes of Dave Micheluzzi. Who congratulations to Dave Micheluzzi, who just won his I
Yeah.
think second Jeff Ogilvy's the game on the bounce, just another lazy 6 under at Vic yesterday. So well done, Mika. He seems to be enjoying his golf. He's having a lot of fun with the boys at PK at the moment. They out there fairly regularly. So I'm fairly confident that the young Micheluzzi, when he heads off back to Europe at the when his tour card kicks in for next year, we'll see a
Yep.
big year coming from the young fella. Well, that's good that you had a game of golf. Maybe not good that you didn't have your best game of golf. I certainly haven't had any games of golf. I did finish off another bit of drum and golf work in that YouTube space. put out another video on the new Apex Pro Series irons. Fantastic
Okay.
irons they are. If anyone's wondering about the new Apex Pro Series irons, don't plug in the work I do on the Drummer Golf YouTube stuff, but go over there and check it out. But they are a lovely family of irons. So you've got the Apex Pro MB, the muscle back. You've got the CB, cavity back, so that replaces the TCB. You've got the Pro, just nice irons. That came out. Yeah, go and check out my work on YouTube. There you go. Got to plug that stuff.
Free plug.
Yeah, well, nothing's free. Someone pays somewhere along the line. But yeah, down here in Hobart, not playing any golf, just down doing some sightseeing. Never really been to this part of the world for any tourist operations. But I think I mentioned to you off here, we had sun and just the Travis Matthew 3/4 zip on at one part of the day, and we ended the day up in Mount Wellington, Scott, with snow, absolutely snow. And I hear that actually might be getting a dusting of snow in the hills tomorrow in Melbourne. But let's not turn this into a weather report. But it was amazing to get sun, and 2 hours later be up on a mountain and be getting snowed on. It was unbelievable. We had a fairly sizable week in the world of golf. Which we'll talk about in 2 seconds, but I do want to say that we are going to give more details. This is like we announced it last week, this Your Love of Golf Stories initiative that the Giveaway Kings and myself and yourself worked on last week, and we announced that last week. Well, we're going to tell you how you can get into that this week, and the link to Tell Us Your Story is going to be coming out in the socials. So if you've been waiting to learn how to win the Bushnell Tour V6 laser rangefinder from
what a prize!
That's a great prize. It's a great prize.
To kick off with, mate.
It's just one that my good friends at Bushnell have been able to help out with, just because they love all the golf stories that they hear all around the track. And but yeah, we will talk about that, but we're going to talk about the golf first. And I guess the big one for me, because I went to bed with Ludvig the other night. I was in the hotel and the golf came on, and Ludvig was winning, and I thought, oh no, he was actually a couple behind, and then Matt Fitzpatrick was in front, and I thought, oh well, he could get this, and he did. Old Ludvig Aberg, much talked about. We've been talking up, and I think we're not the only golf podcast in the world. His mate Truncata has been all over Ludvig and probably tipped half the world into Ludvig over the last 6 months or so. But we've been on the Ludvig train, and he saluted in Switzerland. Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Amazing. He's in his 9th start, I think, as a pro, and to get his first win. I think the whole world had been talking about him in terms of Ryder Cup selection. Will he, won't he? Is Luke Donald going to pick him? So plenty of pressure on the young guy if he was to kind of step up and show his worth. He had a great first round as well, so he kind of came out of the blocks nice and fast. I don't think he was leading after round 1, but certainly shot a great round, and then brought it home. What did he have on the final round there? 6 under or something like that to take it home.
It was the way that he finished it off. He obviously would have been hoping for that phone call that I think you can go and check out on all of the DP World Tour and Ryder Cup social channels of Luke Donald calling Ludvig and announcing his inclusion in the Ryder Cup team for Europe. He would have been hoping, but he's got Matt Fitzpatrick, leading the thing, and he just kept it together so well, and just didn't take the foot off the pedal, didn't make very many mistakes over that closing sort of 5 or 6 holes. Just when it pins, made the birdies when he needed to. And then on the other hand, Matt Fitzpatrick, who I tipped last week as the one that I thought might have the best chance. And not saying that that's anyway, he was looking like a very, very, very good chance with about 5 holes to go, and just capitulated. Just like maybe capitulated is a bit strong, but I think he even had a shank on the 15th or 16th, the par 3. I can't remember exactly which hole it was, but it was a par 3, and he just hit it straight right into the trees. And he just looked in all sorts. He just looked in all sorts, and just fell away from not only the lead. He had like a 2-shot lead, but not only a 2-shot lead, he ended up finishing 3rd behind the Ludvig's fellow Swede, Alex Bjork. So
Yeah,
anyway, these things happen to the best of us, Scott, as you know. But it
absolutely.
probably wasn't what I was expecting from a very strong Ryder Cup hopeful in the weeks before the Ryder Cup, to see him just really crumble a little bit, And you can't say it was pressure, but maybe it was. He's not worried about Ludwig Hagerberg, taking his spot. Matt Fitzpatrick was going to be a lock, right? But
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, Ludwig Aberg, he takes the win. As Luke Donald said in that phone call, we asked you to come across and play these couple of weeks, and he performed, and he performed very strongly the week before, and then goes out and wins the thing. I think he pretty much stamped his ticket very convincingly.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Would he birdie 3 of the last 4 or 4 of the last 5 or something to get after it? Yeah, incredible finish.
Yeah, he really did. He played flawless the last few holes, and say he came from behind. He saw very clearly that he had sort of made up a 2-shot swing and just held it together and just played the last couple of holes really nicely.
Mm.
Maybe it was because he's playing with Alex Bjork, his fellow countryman, who I'm going to assume that he probably already knows quite well. Maybe that gave him a bit of a comfort factor.
Yeah, I watched them tee off, and I thought, oh, I bet these guys have played a little bit of golf together. I think the age is not very close, but surely they're just like the Australian guys would be. They're connected in some way, so that has to kind of relax both of them and get them in a pretty in a pretty kind of focused mindset from the get go. So yeah, great way to finish it up. But geez, you weren't wrong about the scenery, Roscoe. That course on TV is incredible, isn't it? Like just the surrounds, and I think you said last week, it's a bit like the Tour de France of golf. Well, yeah, you're not wrong. Those Alps were just incredible.
I think by all accounts, and I might have said it last week, that the families, it's a very popular event with the players. It's a long-term event. It's been on the tour for ages. The players take their families. They obviously get looked after. All you see is pictures from a lot of the associated people on tour, like the media people. There I saw Iona Stephen, doing some paragliding off the mountains and that sort of thing. So they all have a great time. Any other outtakes from the European Masters from your good self, Scott?
No, not from the event.
I was just going to say Connor Syme. I always like to shout out the top Scott, Connor Syme. He's a great young player, is Connor Syme, and I think hopefully next year we can see a good another Scott on tour. We've got Bobby Mack, who punched his ticket on the weekend, but Connor Syme, I'm a big Connor Syme fan. Anyway, sorry I cut you off there.
No, that's okay. Alex Fitzpatrick was a bit of a standout for me again, Roscoe. Another very solid performance from the younger Fitzpatrick. So good to see him, in the mix. So I enjoyed watching him tee off, play his first few holes on Sunday night. I always like seeing Eric Van Rooyen in the mix and on the leaderboard. I do love his jogger style, I'll be honest, Roscoe. So big South African, good to see him up there.
He's been in the doldrums. He's not, maybe
doldrums.
He's not had a great year in either side of the Atlantic, but it's always good to see someone who's not been playing that well come back. I'm a fan of the jogger pants as well. I don't mind seeing a little bit of ankle flesh and a socklet, if there is such a word for those sockets.
Yeah. No shows.
It wasn't going to be my story, but I probably told it before. But I remember the first ever time, 1987. Scott was the first time. Was the first
Sit
time.
Sit back, kids. Enjoy.
1987 was the first time I ever saw a socket. I didn't even think that sockets were invented back then. I didn't know what one was, but I just saw this bit of cotton poking above the heel line of the FootJoy Classics, and there were classics back then. They've had a few iterations in Palm Springs at Mission Hills Country Club, where they put out pristine pyramids of golf balls for all the members. This is 1987, Scott. This is a boy from Cessnock, New South Wales, the bush, where we had a
Oh,
practice
mate.
speedway, but you had to pick up your own balls and you had to fish them out of the creek. And if you wanted a new golf ball, you would follow the men around, and when they lose a ball, you'd go in and pick, all that sort of stuff. And then there we were, 1987, pyramids, and there was a young fellow there who just looked like he was straight off, the college golf team, which we didn't even know what college was. We didn't know what golf teams were. We're just kids from the bush.
Yeah.
And this young fella's got these FootJoy Classics and sockets. I'd never seen it
Opened
before in
up
my
your
life.
world, Roscoe.
We were still wearing long socks, long sort of
Oh, jeez.
woolen cotton blend. This is the
Yeah.
poles apart that Australia was and America was. Long cotton wool blend walk socks folded over the top below the knee. And Niblick still had those little the epaulette, the tongue, the flappy dangly things over the top.
Yeah.
We turn up to bloody Palm Springs, California. I turn up to Palm Springs, California, and there's a bloke with lace up pure white crocodile sort of saddle FootJoy Classics and sockets. Couldn't believe it. So
mate, I tell you what, 1987 Palm Springs would have been a bit of fun, wouldn't it? Back in the day.
It was an eye-opening experience for a young boy from the bush. Let me tell you that much. All of the associated things that went around that golf trip. Eye-opening golf experience, but eye-opening just cultural experience. That was it was a cultural exchange, and there was some culture exchange. Put it that way. It was a great. But anyway, sockets back to Eric Van Rooyen. Good to see you playing well, Eric.
Good to see him playing well.
Actually, we digress, but there's a story for you, and that is what we want to hear more of. Your favourite stories. The DP World Tour moves to the K Club this week.
Does for the Irish Open.
Yeah.
There's a good list of players. Good list of players signed up for that one this week, Roscoe. Most of the European guys that have been selected for Ryder Cup are teeing it up, and a bunch of Aussies as well, and a decent little prize packet there, 6 million USD. So not quite an elevated event, but it's been definitely supported.
Well, you remember it was one of the DP World Tour events when they sort of changed things around last year that it got reallocated, into this swing of events that will happen between now and the Ryder Cup. So it sort of fit awkwardly. For a national open, I think they wanted to get those European national opens a little bit more profile. And it's set in between, I think, one of the maybe the US Open and the Open, and the Scottish Open was in there. So it just sort of wasn't quite in the to get the best players, the European, the American-based Europeans. So now you can see what's happened. Obviously, in particular in the Ryder Cup year, they've got all of the European talent there. So playing at the K Club, it's a prestigious Irish golf club. It's not everyone's favourite. I'd love to still see these events in Ireland being played on Lahinch or Ballyliffin or pick any one of those beautiful Irish links courses. I'd still love to see national opens played on those courses. But anyway, I'll be looking forward to tuning in.
I'll tell you what, the defending champ has got a bit of a point to prove, doesn't he? Not being selected. The big Croatian Moronk.
No, Pol, the big Pol. Yeah. He's a fan favourite of ours. We met Adrian down there at the Oz Open and had a brief chat. I was lucky enough to get on the green and take some photos of him winning and kissing trophies and that sort of thing. It was great just to see him, and he's had a great year since then. He won. He's the
He's won more than once. He won twice.
Yeah, he won the Italian. He won at the. Didn't he win at the Italian Open? I'm sure he did. Sorry, I haven't got the notes here because he was a defending champion of the Irish Open. But did he win in Italy? Anyway, we'll keep talking.
And I think he's third on the race to Dubai or something, mate. Like he's nice and high too. So it's a big surprise for me personally that he's been left out. I would have loved to have seen him play in that Ryder Cup, but I can imagine he'll come out this week pretty pumped up.
It's getting a lot of coverage amongst the ranks as Adrian Moronk's exclusion from the Ryder Cup team in preference for Shane Lowry. They've gone for experience versus youth and form. I love Shane Lowry. I love him, and I may have even said that I'd pick him in the past. But I love Adrian Moronk, and one thing I have said is that if there's an opportunity to bring new talent and youthful talent into a team, that's in form, I would be doing that. Like you're picking a football team, like you're picking a soccer team. If you inform youth, they have no fear, don't have any skeletons in the closet. Shane
Yep.
Lowry's a seasoned veteran, and he's a little bit like JT. He's probably someone that the team loves to have in and around that team environment. He's must be a character. He seems like a great bloke, and all the good stuff that you get with Shane Lowry. But at the end of the day, you just hope that Shane Lowry can back it up and that trust and go out and get a win. But Adrian Moronk has absolutely every ground to be sitting at home crying in his Polish beer because he is very hardly done by.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with all of those things you just said about Shane Lowry, Roscoe, but he's only played one Ryder Cup, like that last one in 21. That's his only Ryder Cup appearance.
Okay, was that his first one? Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I'm sure he is good in the team room and all of those things. He definitely comes across that way, but it's not like he's got a ton of experience in Ryder Cup. He's 36 years old. I guess like if you're going to pick Justin Rose for the same reason, I mean, he's been playing okay anyway, so I like that pick. But you pick him for that experience as well. I guess if you take Lowry out of it, then you do have a fairly young squad. But is that such a bad thing? I'd take Moronk over Shane Lowry on a head-to-head match any day of the week any day of the week at the moment. So, yeah, interesting one.
I caught myself and questioned my knowledge on Adrian Moronk winning the Italian Open at Marco Simone. Of course, he won. Of course, he did win that. He was the winner of that. So he's won last year's Irish Open, the Australian Open, the Italian Open at Marco Simone over the course
that they're going to play. Like it doesn't. Yeah, he's going to feel pretty hard done by, I reckon.
Yes. Anything else? Well, we've sort of segued into that. European Ryder Cup team. We've got others that we've spoken about. We've got big Shane Lowry, Ludvig Sepp Straka, the big
Sepp
big
Straka,
Austrian.
Tommy Fleetwood, and Nikolai Højgaard are the other picks.
So that was
Lowry and Justin Rose.
That was, I thought that maybe Moronk might have got the Højgaard spot. When sitting there watching.
Sepp.
Yeah. Well, he could have got any of those, but I thought after, Højgaard was up there on Sunday, but he, can't say just because he didn't finish that well, but he played, but
but he's the right guy to pick with an eye on the future, isn't he? Like, you'd think that him and his brother would probably play a fair bit over the next couple of decades, and definitely got to mix the young blood, some young guys with that experience. But so I don't mind the Højgaard pick. I'd take him and Moronk. Yeah, I think Lowry or Sepp could have made way for Moronk.
Anyway, it's a reasonable team. Can they beat the Americans? So obviously, we've been talking about the team and the American team and the will they, won't they? And obviously they did, and that's pick JT over. The clear other choice was Keegan. I guess as a recent winner, there's probably a couple of others in there that they could have picked, but JT. I said last week I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't have taken him. I would have taken someone who was showing more form. But that whole discussion around the team room seemed to be the thorn in Keegan Bradley's side. But they've got their team. They've got Ricky. They've got JT. They've got the boy band back together.
Yeah, and look, I don't. Well, I guess he's only been in 2 Ryder Cups, so it's only one more than Lowry. But I don't mind the JT pick for those reasons, like in the team room, and the match play and the Ryder Cup, it's very different to championship golf, I think, from what I see on TV anyway. And he thrives in that environment clearly through his record. in both the winning and the losing, Ryder Cup appearances. So I don't mind that pick. I'm sure Cam Young and Keegan feel pretty hard done by themselves, but yeah, I'm not sure I would have taken. I don't know. I would have taken Cam Young over Sam Burns, to be honest. But but still pretty quality squad. I mean, when you're leaving people like Cam Young, Keegan Bradley, Bryson, these guys out of it. DJ, DJ's gone 5-0 only 2 years ago. Like, I think you could say the same for DJ in terms of Ryder Cup and that getting up for it and motivated and being a good team room guy from whatever we see, on the telly. You could say the same for DJ, but he was hardly even spoken about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only live player that got spoken about is because they had to for so long up until a week ago was Brooks, being an automatic selection. So it's pretty clear to me anyway what the thoughts and sentiment were around all of the players that hadn't been playing regular events on the tour. The JT thing, I can't give you any comfort, but all I have zero Ryder Cup experience. The closest I've got to Ryder Cup was I had tickets for the 2014 Ryder Cup, which I've told many times that I had to leave on the table and go to work instead of traveling to Scotland to go to the Ryder Cup with Glen Eagles. But sorry, I just I told you I'm in this room and the young lady's come to get her bag. I might have led you to believe that they set the room up for me, but no, it's actually one of the corporate clients.
Actually, nobody knows you're there.
The young lady who had her presentation gear for tomorrow's presentation just to get some notes out of it. Come in, but I can't give JT any other comfort. Being an out of form golfer going into a match play head to head, all I can remember is the time in 2003. Mornington Golf Club had a fairly big pennant match. I think it might have been against Beacon Hills. And we had a stroke round the day before at the club, and I was in the team, but I was always sort of 6 or 7, peripheral. I wasn't part of the cool kids. I didn't drink a lot of beer and all that sort of stuff. So,
the bro club, yeah.
But I was good value because I drove everyone to pennant, so that means that the other blokes could drink beer, and then I could drive them home because I didn't drink. And it was always
we're a good team, man.
Yeah, I was a great team, man, and I was always driving a flash Mercedes Benz because that's where I worked. So I always had a flash Mercedes Benz. So I was a pretty good team man on that front. But then none. Back to my point of having form, I did shoot 95 on the stroke round, and then still maintain my position in the team for the next day, and did go out and win 4 and 3 the next day. So anything can happen. Anything can happen, JT. You can shoot 95, and then go out and go lights out the next day. Another story.
Yeah.
Scott, we want to hear more of these stories. We want to hear stories because everyone's got my crappy stories, but I know that there are absolute crackerjack stories out there in and amongst the cohort. And there might be other people that they play with. There might be their own stories. There might be good, bad, sad. Whatever gamut of this story that this game brings out, and there is so much value that we get from participating in the game of golf. So we want people to share it. We can keep interviewing. We've got some interviews lined up. You're going to interview one of your colleagues very soon. A big baller in the game, and we've got plenty of great interviews. But really, this is a podcast that's about love of golf, and it's about, as we said last week, about people's stories, and we want to share them, even just snippets. So we're going to get everyone to share their stories with us, and we're going to use the giveaway kings, the gents that were with us last week, and we're going to read through some of these, and we're going to share them. And at the end of a month or so, we're going to choose a winner. There's going to come down to a final group of stories, and we're going to randomly select a winner, and they're going to win a Bushnell Tool V6 laser rangefinder. All you need to do is tell us your story on the socials. There will be a link to a document. That's a very finely crafted document, very simple, easy to put your name in, tell us your handicap, and tell us your story. Tell us where you play golf, and we'll have that here for us, and we'll read those stories and we'll share them, and it'll be great. If you want to be anonymous, you can be anonymous. If you don't want to be anonymous, if you want to give us a nickname or whatever, you can tell us a nickname or whatever. We'd rather be able to at least give you some sort of identifying credibility, and so everyone can, who knows you knows who you are and can give you a pat in the back. But any way you want to deliver it, as long as it's on that form, that'd be great. Is that what we're
Yeah.
doing, Scott?
Oh, that sounds pretty good, Roscoe. I loved what you guys were talking about last week and how we're kicking this off. And as you've said, we've talked about before, this is about the community, right? And just sharing wins, losses, good stories, bad stories, learnings, disappointments, all of those things. Just bringing the community together, and I think this is a great way to do it, and a great way to share some of these stories. And as you said, mate, it could be about your handicap going down. It could be how you went from 20 down to 12 and what did you do. It could be a near hole in one. It could be, your lowest score ever. It could be a special time you had on the course. You had the whole course to yourself. Anything. I think we just love hearing some of these stories. We've loved having so many guests on over the last few weeks, and it's really kind of sparked that interest in, like, hey, I'm sure there's other great stories out there from all of us Joe Blogs golfers that just love this game and love being a part of this community. So great way to bring that all together, Roscoe, and give away a Bushnell at the same time. So great prize to kick off this little program.
Absolutely. The Walker Cup was played at St Andrews. It was a fairly it's a fairly big event in the world of amateur golf. The best amateur golfers from the US playing the best amateur golfers from Great Britain and Ireland. Now, we're not going to go through the Walker Cup and the results, but for me, anytime you get to see any glimpse of the best players in the world playing on the old course and playing on these classic links courses, it just highlights and elevates so many people's interests in the game of golf. And the US won. I've got the score here, so I can't remember. It was like 14.5 to 11.5. GB and Ireland were up going into the final day, and the US is just the strength of that team. Just rolled them in the morning play, and then just had the ascendancy going into the rest of the day. But what I loved about it, going back to that, the interest of people going to watch the best golfers on the old course. Yeah, obviously there's not as many people there watching as the Open, but there was still a great crowd of people there watching this great amateur event. But so many people I knew were there from different walks of life, and they're all commentating on, guys that we know through the golf community. UK Golf Guy was there, and the Fried Egg quoted UK Golf Guy because he listened to one of the American players, moaning about how the old course was penalising good shots and reward and not helping bad shot, that sort of thing. So the Fried Egg picked up UK Golf Guy's commentary on that. Chris Day is flown in from Atlanta to Edinburgh and driven up to see the last 2 days of the Walker Cup. Now, Chris, we had Chris played golf with at PK, a couple of years ago. He's joined PK, and he's the sort of guy that just will jump on a plane and go and play 5 courses in Scotland for 6 days, 5 days, and then just bolt home and go back to work. He's just that mad for it. He was at the Walker Cup. Josh, who was on the podcast with us a couple of weeks ago, he was at the Walker Cup. All these guys, and they don't know each other, but they're all just there. And so it was great to be able to feeding into all their stuff coming through from St Andrews. It was great, and it's great to make these connections and these stories, and those guys have been really valuable friends to me along the journey. So just another example of how this game and these stories that we share and connect us all. But the Walker Cup, it was great. St Andrews, great. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the Aussies playing at the Dunhill Links, which is in a couple of weeks. Obviously, that's at St Andrews, the old course, Carnoustie and Kings Barnes, 3 unbelievable courses. And there'll be a whole host of Aussies playing there because obviously the top 10 in the order of merit from last year get a start in that event. So looking forward to that. It's usually cold and wet and windy by that stage, but it's just great watching golf over that part of the world. What else we got? We've got the Portland Classic.
Yeah, we had the LPGA. Go to the Portland Classic. So, I mean, as we've talked about, Roscoe, I lived in Portland there for a little while and actually took the kids to the Portland Classic in 2018 and 19. Yeah, 18 and 19. I mean, touching on golf stories, right? Like a really, really nice little moment that we had. Me and Lexi. I took Lexi, and she was 4. She just turned 4. And so took her along to the golf, and we followed Lexi Thompson around, and had a nice little moment there because there's no one around, right? There was hardly any crowd, so we had some good interactions with Lexi, and a little kind of chat and hello and that year. And then the next year I took Flinny, and this is at the same course, beautiful course, the Columbia Edgewater. Took Flinny and Lexi, and we went with very good friends of ours, the Woods, and their 2 kids. And this is why I've got a soft spot for Kempy when we talk about the list of Aussies playing in these tournaments, because we followed Kempy around this year, and the kids were all chanting on the side of the fairway there for a minute. Big, loud American voices at this golf tournament where everyone's supposed to be quiet, chanting this, "Go, Kempy, go, go, Kempy, go." And she was cracking up, loving it, waving from the fairway, and really engaged in it. So she was a great sport. And then we saw her finishing off on the 18th, and she came over and she handed the kids one of the balls each. And just another really lovely little kind of moment in my golf journey and story, and with the kids involved and Aussie players overseas, and it's a special time. So I enjoyed seeing the Portland Classic on telly this week. Young Thai girl, I think, Shanati Wanasane, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, took it out 26 under. But Roscoe, did you know how many cuts in a row she had missed leading into this tournament? I mean, how's this for a form turnaround? 9 cuts in a row, Roscoe. She's missed. She was ranked like 380 something, I think 300 plus in the world before this week. And a rookie in a rookie year, and came out and shot 63 on Sunday to win. I mean, what a great story.
That is a monumental form turnaround that eclipses my shooting 95 in the stroke round and going and winning 4 and 3 the next day is a sacrificial number 1. That's fantastic. I've never Shanti. What was her surname again?
Shanati Wanasane.
Never. I can't give you any form or any insights into Shanti, but congratulations. Did any other results of note out of that Portland Classic?
None better than a 63 from a rookie on a Sunday. No.
There you go. Okay. The women move this week to the Kroger Queen City Invitational or Championship or whatever it's called in Ohio.
Cincinnati,
Ohio. In Australians, we've got Gabrielle Ruffles, we've got Sue O, Minji, Steph Kiriakou, Karis Davis and Grace Kim, and the aforementioned Sarah Kemp. What a great field of young Australian women representing at the highest level of Australian golf. It's just sensational to read out all those names, and not just once off, week in, week out. And it's at the latter stage of their very long year. The women have had a long year, and I think I remember going back to earlier in the year, someone put one of those diagrams out where it sort of tracked the plane. The destinations where all the women had to sort of travel week in, week out, and the different destinations that they had to, one side of the country one week, another side of the country the next week, back to the other side of the country, over to another part of the world. They've got a very full schedule, but we've been reading out that cohort of women's names week in, week out, and we've had some winners this year.
Yeah, it's great to see.
It's great to see. Obviously, we're looking forward to the Solheim Cup. Obviously, Australian girls aren't playing the Solheim Cup, but it's another great 3 or 4 days of head-to-head tournament golf, match play golf for us to get our chomps into.
Yeah, we're in the season of team golf right now, Roscoe. It's all about team golf. We're heading into a big month or so of it.
There's another form of team golf, I'm sure. Live Golf. Someone
Oh
said
yeah,
that
what's
this
that? I haven't
team,
heard of it. Yeah.
yeah, so someone said that this team golf doesn't have anything, but we seem to, okay, it's different team golf. I get that, but we do get worked up for some forms of team golf. Don't worry about that. And the Ryder Cup and the
I,
Solheim Cup are
man,
two.
I would love to see. I would love to see Live Golf do a bit of foursomes or four
Hmm.
ball incorporated into the mix there. I mean, I reckon it'd be great TV to watch. Maybe the first two or three rounds as stroke. You're earning points for the team, so like you're getting the team aggregate going for the first two or three rounds to then determine where your team sits for the final round, which is a four ball Ambrose of like those guys just shooting at flags and someone like a team shooting 18 under. Like I know it's nothing like traditional golf and the traditionalists are not going to like it at all, but I think it'd be great TV to watch those guys just firing at pins all day and really getting after a 54 or whatever it might be. That'd be cool.
Well, I'm not sure that we'll see that, but if there was a format of golf that could continue to try new things, and that's one thing that's going to give us more fuel to talk about as it's not really an off season, but as we sort of get out of this tour season, as we wait for all of this to unfold next year. We know about the DP World Tour schedule. We know enough about the PGA Tour schedule. We haven't seen the Live schedule yet, but I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other stuff to talk about in the next couple of months.
Yep.
Including people's love of golf stories. More love of golf is better. Your love of golf is better. It's not our love of golf, it's your love of golf. So we wanted to share your story. So I look forward to getting the link on the social. Just hit it, fill in your stories, send it. And come October, we'll be drawing a winner for a Bush Tour V6. And we don't want to stop it there. We want to keep more of this sort of stories and engagement. And we've got more things to give away. I've got to. I'm not going to sit here and say I've got a cupboard full of stuff, but I've got some stuff to give away. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, great. And Roscoe, I mean, we've shared a couple of stories on this podcast today, just a little off the cuff. Like, is there any what's a good Ross Flanagan golf story you can share to give the listeners something to inspire their story thoughts by?
What do you want to hear about? Give me a topic. I've got a few as you experience.
Okay.
Give me a subject matter area, because I usually I would just go to telling great stories about the people that I've met, and maybe you can tell me, you can ask me another story, but I'll tell you about one particular person that I've met.
Yep.
Who we had connected by Twitter, and no other connection other than really, I knew that he was in Scotland and he played over in the west of Scotland, over in the Kintyre Peninsula at Machrihanish, and for a long period of time, I had coveted playing at Machrihanish. Now, the long period of time goes back to being a young Australian-born, as you know, as everyone knows, because I say it a lot of times, Australian-born kid of Scottish descent and having a very strong Scottish influence in my upbringing in and around a soccer club, which was full of Scots, and that was my de facto family. So, Saturday nights for us were at members of the soccer club that my dad was came out to play for, surrounded by all these other sort of Scottish migrant families. So it was very Scottish influence. There was not many Australians at these, clan gatherings. But in my quest to understand where my parents had come from, because I was old enough and smart enough to know that they'd come from another part of the world, and that was miles away. Where were they? So I would study maps, and I would study the map of Scotland. And when I studied the map of Scotland, I was always intrigued by this finger of land down that didn't seem to be connected. A little bit like the Italian boot. If you know the Machrihanish, if you know the Kintyre Peninsula, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you go and have a look at a map of Scotland, you look at that finger of land in the west. And when I started playing golf, this golf course would always pop up as, the writings of golf called Machrihanish, and I was fascinated by it. But in all of the travels to Scotland, I only ever met people that had played there maybe once or twice, and not much. And I was just fascinated by this place, that even the name, and this is a time when I didn't know about, um, old Tom Morris and his influence on, the evolution of golf through Scotland and then across to Ireland, and how he was responsible for taking golf over to Ireland, and that was one of his destinations down at Macrahanish. I had no idea about any of that sort of stuff, and I just wanted to go there. Anyway, roll forward to the Twitterverse, and Robbie Wilson pops up on Twitter. He's out in that area. Hey, Robbie, how you going? I'd love to go out and have a game of golf one day, and blah, 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 blah. And we just chat away. And I went and met Robbie. I may have even told the story, but, we go to, he says, I'll book us a tea time at Shiskin. Now, Shiskin's on the Isle of Arran. Now, to get from where Kintyre Peninsula, you've got to catch a ferry over to the Isle of Arran and drive down to Shiskin. He said, I'll book us a tea time, 11 o'clock. I'll meet you on the first tee. Okay, I'd never met the bloke. I barely even knew what he looked like because he kept his personal sort of persona quite private online. So I didn't really know what he looked like. Get there, there's Robbie, 11 o'clock. I was running 5 minutes late because of the ferry was late or whatever it was, usually, because I was just late. And we get in there, and then all of a sudden he takes me in, introduced me to Hamish in the pro shop, and Hamish is a photographer. He makes calendars for Shiskin there. I bought a £10 calendar. And then there's a couple of Aussie voices behind us. And Robbie's then chatting to the Aussies, and he says, well, you may as well just join us and just come, because we may as well make it an Aussie fest. We go out and play Shiskin, it's fantastic. Then we jump on the ferry, we go back across to Macrahanish. We belt down to Macrahanish at 6 o'clock and play instead of playing on the Saturday, because Robbie had actually kept an eye on the weather. I had zero eye on the weather. I was just in awe of being in this part of the world, which I'd coveted since childhood. And he says, let's go out and play. We have this 6 o'clock round out there at Macrahanish. It's unbelievable. It's just like he and I and maybe 2 or 3 others out on course. And it was just amazing. And I'm assuming all this time that Robbie lived in Campbelltown, which is the town nearest Macrahanish. And I'm staying in the pub down in there for the couple of nights. He said, oh, Robbie, let me take you out and we'll go and have dinner and whatever. He says, oh, yeah, okay, well, let's do that. And off we go. And when we were out playing golf, I flew my drone, took some photos, but my drone, I ran out of battery. And there was this other drone flying around. I was like, oh, damn, who's got the big drone up, flying around? Oh, I was so angry at myself for running out of battery and not consider this drone flying around. I either eyeball the guy who's doing the drone flying, but he's too far away. I don't see him. So just eyeballing. And Robbie goes, oh, that'll be this fellow that does a bit of that sort of stuff for the club. I think he comes from London. No, yeah, fair enough. And anyway, we go out, Robbie and I finish golf. We go out for dinner. We have an Indian meal in Macrahanish. And it's about midnight by this stage because we teed off at 6 o'clock, played 18 holes of golf. We go and have an Indian meal. And then Robbie says, oh, where do you live? Do you live down that street or the next street? Campbelltown's not a big place. He says, no, I live at Locklepeed, which is back up the road, like an hour and a half away. So not only had he driven all that way and caught the ferry across to Shiskin and played golf and then driven me down to Macrahanish and shook me around there and stayed with me for dinner.
Yeah.
Then he's an hour and a half away back up the road at small roads at night. He sees me back to my pub, the hotel thing where I'm staying, and then lo and behold, there's this young fellow at the front of the pub as we're walking in, and it was the young fellow flying the drone. We started chatting, and he said, oh, Robbie, because he knew of Robbie, but he hadn't met, so he introduced Robbie at the same time, and so we had this great chat, and he's from London, and we started talking about drones. Obviously, not going to shut me up then. He says, let's catch up tomorrow. And his name's Neil. And I go back out to Macrahanish and we go and have lunch and have a chat. And we just start talking about all this other stuff we've got in common. Anyway, so not only have we become great mates with Robbie, who is, unbeknownst to me at the time, but super well connected in the whole world of Jim Hartzell. He's like very, very close friends with Jim Hartzell. Jim Hartzell's author of a couple of books and just loves Scotland and loves Dunavity like no one that you've ever met. He just gets homesick from Scotland and he's not even his home when he goes back to America. And he's had Tron over there with Jim, chauffeuring them around, showing them all around there recently. And he's just a wonderful chap and just a soul of the earth, just unbelievable. Stonemason, looks after all the monuments. Unbelievable. And then Neil, on the other hand, is just, when you see me post some of these Macrahanish pictures, it's usually Neil's photo. And he says, here you go, have a look at this. And we just share all this great stuff about Macrahanish because he's so passionate about Macrahanish. And anyway, that one day of my life, was just connecting with two great people that have connected me with other people, and just,
Yeah.
now I feel I've got this other home to go to. And and I know whenever I go back to Scotland, I can go across there and feel like I'm at home. So it was a great day, and two great people, and connected to more great people, and just, that's why I love those guys and love those stories, and love those places. And this might sound a bit
Yeah.
boring to many people, but to me,
No,
it's a
it's a great story
pretty important
about
story.
how the game connects people, Roscoe. When you first
Mm.
started telling that story, I thought, oh, this is a story about Robbie, and the it's a story about the meeting Robbie, but it turned into one after the other of like great people that you've met and you've kept in contact with, and yeah, it's such a great game that we play that brings people together, and all of the cliches that everyone says about the game in that regard are all so true. So no, that's great.
I've played so much golf, like in Scotland by myself. I was just like the day before going to Macrahanish, I played at Dundonald, which I played at before, and this trip I stayed at Dundonald the night before and played by myself and walked by
Mm,
myself, and I met some nice people in the way. The guy in the starters hut was fantastic. Funny. Gave me some teas, gave me a little Dundonald valuables pouch and the stroke save and all that sort of thing. We had a great chat. Off I went and played by myself. Came back, had dinner by myself, went to sleep. Flew the drone, did all that sort of stuff. It's great. I had a great day. Awesome. I played at Western Gales that day by myself. When I played by myself, took my photos,
yeah,
just moseyed around, playing by myself. I enjoy playing by myself, and they were great. That was a great day.
yeah,
But this next day was always going to be special because of this Macrahanish connection that was so rooted to my upbringing, and so
mm,
rooted to, and that day could have easily just been me going to Macrahanish and playing by myself.
yeah, yeah,
But this day that was so connected to my childhood and this emotions of my youth as a golfer was then, sort of solidified by meeting these two wonderful gents who are now call very good friends. It was just
yeah.
unbelievable. So yeah,
One of those days, mate. It's meant to
that's,
be.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, enough from me. Enough from
No,
us.
that's good, mate. That's good. You mentioned playing golf by yourself. Like I also, I love playing golf by myself. I love playing golf with other people and meeting other people, new people. I don't mind jumping in, as most people who love golf don't mind doing. You jump into a group and you meet random people and you end up with stories like that. But I also love playing golf by myself. And I remember when we decided to move back to Australia and leave Portland, Oregon, and leave, that location of 4.5 hours drive away from Bandon Dunes, I said to the wife, I've got to go back. I've got to go back once before I head back to Australia. I'll probably never be back here again. And so I organized when that would be. I had a buddy, he was actually an old boss at Nike, just been promoted to VP. So he'd bought himself a Porsche 911 Carrera. And one day offered to lend it to me. So I took him up on that offer, and I set off on a solo trip, heading down to Bandon Dunes, and kind of, so in this Porsche Carrera, took the long way, just went straight out to the coast and drove all the way down the coast of the west coast of the US. It's about 350 k's or something of coast road, not too sections of it, not too similar to, not too different from the Great Ocean Road. So like incredible scenery, in this car on this trip, heading to the destination I was heading to, which, is a pretty special place in my golf journey and story. And I got down there. It was a 2 or 3 night trip, multiple games being played, and my favorite course at Bandon is Bandon Trails, and it's kind of the third course that they built there. It's Core and Crenshaw, Doak and a few of the others have done the other courses, but it's kind of set up in the hills a little bit. It's the one that doesn't have all of the coastal views or the holes over the water, or that stretch of amazing ocean scenery. It's nestled in the hills, and it's really special. Like there's not many holes. I think there's 1 or 2 holes on the whole course where you can see another hole. And so the rest of it is you're very secluded. All you see is just what's in front of you, just that hole. And yeah, I was there on an absolutely picture perfect day. I played Sheep Ranch in the morning, shot a 74, lowest score in a very long time. It's very good for me. So I was very happy. I was up and about. Um, ran into Shane Bacon from the Golf Channel. On my way to the first tee. I get to the first tee and I'm expecting a group of players, and the guy said, "Oh, you're on your own." Oh, on my own. He's yeah, great. Okay, all right. And it was absolutely picture perfect day. Not a cloud in the sky, no wind, just couldn't have been better conditions. And he said, "Yeah, and you're about 45 minutes before behind another single." So I thought, "Oh, wow, okay, so I'm really on my own here." So man, I had the most magic 3.5, 4 hours out there just doing my thing. I had the music pumping. I had maybe a couple of IPAs in the bag, playing this incredible course, this very kind of special moment of me farewelling the fairways of North America, and to get all emotional about it. And, just such a special time, and an experience to be out there by myself. Felt like I was the only person on the entire planet, playing the game I love at a course I love, in just the most incredible conditions and everything. It was just, yeah, very, very kind of special moment and memory that I'll have on my golf journey. So a little bit different in terms of, I was on my own versus meeting a ton of other people, but that's the great thing about the game. You can have different experiences like that give you different things. And and mine was a solo memory of a great time and a place that it's very special to me.
I would have enjoyed that nine. I would have enjoyed all of that, but I would have enjoyed that 911 drive up the coast there.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Mm, mm.
It was pretty good. So yeah,
Well,
just
that's
all of the things added to that story, is yeah, fantastic.
well. Don't say that. It's probably last time, because you can't make that your last time going back to that sort of place. You've got to go back. It'll be, might not be next year, might not be 5 years time, but I'm sure that by hook or by crook, you will make it back there, and make it your mission to get back there, because I think you just have to relive these places that are so special to you, and you have to find a new thing out about them, and do them differently, and do them again, and share that with
Yeah.
other people. I share it with other people and that sort of stuff. But anyway, easy to say, hard to do sometimes. But it's not a bad goal to have, to get back to McMahonish or go back to Bandon Dunes. I'll certainly come to Bandon Dunes with you, no problems at all. I would
Oh,
love to. I'd
absolutely.
love to go to Bandon Dunes. Anyway, we can dream.
Well, I've got to go to Barnbougle first before I get back there. That's my goal.
Okay, well, I'll go there on Saturday for you. How's that?
Oh, yeah, send me some photos. Yeah,
Yeah, I
great.
will. Yeah, I will. Okay, I'll go there on Saturday for you. Um, Very good, Scott. Thanks for again joining us, and all the participation, and getting the form for everyone to fill in, and hopefully share some of their stories. And as we say, if you want to come on and share this story, when we do pick a couple of people to come and share their stories with us, we'd love to have you sitting on these Zoom chats with us, and just again meeting new people and telling us some great stories. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Scott,
can't wait.
thanks.
Can't wait to hear them all, Roscoe. And no, thank you, mate. Yeah, enjoy your time in Tassie, and we'll catch up when you're back, huh?
Well, over and out from Hobart, and I'll see you back in Melbourne.